Welcome everyone. My name is Carelia Lamarca and I'm a PhD student in geophysics under the advisory of Dr. Heather Beadle, and I belong to the ASPE research group. Today we're going to talk about the quantitative assessment of unsupervised machine learning methods. I don't want to assume that you all know what machine learning is or unsupervised methods are. So let's start from the beginning. Machine learning is a subfield of artificial intelligence, which is broadly defined as the capacity of a machine to imitate intelligent human behavior. And there are broadly two types of machine learning: supervised and unsupervised methods. In the case of supervised methods, we know both the input and output, but in the case of unsupervised, we only can control the input data, and usually the result is going to be some clusters that we need to interpret and give meaning. Before explaining the motivation of this project, I want to mention that we need to keep in mind why are we using machine learning methods. So in our case, because we're using multiple seismic attributes, we use or employ machine learning methods, unsupervised methods, in order to extract the most information out of all those seismic attributes at the same time in ways that a human interpreter wouldn't be able to do. Okay, so having that in mind, our overall motivation for this project is to address uncertainty in channel reservoir characterization using seismic reflection data, and where that idea came from. So basically, for my master's, as you can see here in this picture, I studied deep water channels. In New Zealand, and I explore multiple attributes and multiple unsupervised machine learning techniques, such as self organizing maps. However, I realized that when well logs are not available, the clusters that result out of these methods rely merely on the interpreter's experience and in context interpretation. So we actually thought that it would be good to find methods or ways to define the error in these unsupervised methods, and that's something that has not been done before. So in this case, for our project, the importance is that the accuracy in cluster definition will allow for better reservoir location and drilling plans and geobody generation, which ultimately has an impact on reserves estimation. And you must be wondering which are those unsupervised methods that are available in our software ASPE. So here I show you how under volumetric classification tab you have access to multiple unsupervised methods. There are k-means, Gaussian mixture models, self-organizing maps, generative topographic maps, support vector machine, and random forest classifier. In this case, for the project or example shown, we are using generative topographic maps, but we invite you to explore all the methods available and compare results. So let's talk about generative topographic maps, or GTM. This unsupervised machine learning method was first introduced by Christopher Bishop in 1996 and is known for being a probabilistic reformulation of self-organizing maps. How's that? It solves the self-organizing maps drawback of convergence and also allows to select a learning rate. It is generative because the data is assumed to arise by first probabilistic picking a point in a low dimensional space, map the point to the observed high dimensional input space via a smooth function. In generative topographic maps, the latent space is a discrete grid of points which is assumed to be nonlinearly projected into the data space, and a Gaussian noise assumption is then made in data space so that the model becomes a constrained mixture of Gaussian. Then the model's likelihood can be maximized by the expectation maximization algorithm, and as a result, we're gonna end up with clusters that we can easily interpret. This project is a collaboration between Colorado State University, Chile Slow System Consortium, and ASPE Consortium. And in this case, we're using synthetic seismic data as a benchmark. And that synthetic seismic data has been built upon a real 3D model that has been built at the same time upon outcrop data from channel complexes in the Patagonia, Chile. So, overall, the project consisted in three phases: the pre-processing and data exploratory analysis, the input selection and machine learning algorithms, and the analysis, which is the difference between the unsupervised methods and the synthetic channel phases, or the initial true model, in a voxel by voxel basis. So here we can see the overall workflow. We first have the 3D geological model that I just mentioned, and we have on the side the amplitude volume, or our synthetic seismic data. And then we use ASPE to calculate all the different seismic attributes, um, those that are like dependent on the deep, and instantaneous attributes like root mean square, amplitude, envelope, and Hilbert. Then, with the use of Python, we use the cross plots and selected attributes that we were going to use as input for machine learning methods. We then use the elbow plot and script plot to define the number of clusters. And we then did the resampling and comparison with the original in a voxel by voxel basis to determine that error. In some of the methods that we're exploring, we use Python, but for the case that we're showing today, we use ASPE software. When we're using unsupervised machine learning methods, the selection of the input data, in this case seismic attributes, is paramount. And there are multiple methods that we can use to do that. One of them is using a dimensionality reduction technique, such as principal component analysis or independent component analysis. We can also use CHAP values, and we also can correlate candidate attributes to determine which are statistically independent via Pearson correlation. Or we can use the interpreter's geological experience and the understanding of the different attributes. In this case, we use the interpreter's geological experience in addition to the Pearson correlation. And those seismic attributes that we use were calculated using ASPE software. So here we have an example of how instantaneous envelope looks like in our data, um, how our spectral decomposition looks like, and peak magnitude as well, and all the attributes that we use. So in total, we use 6 different attributes as input. When we use ASPE to calculate generative topographic maps, we're going to end up with 2 different axes, axis 1 and axis 2, that we cross plot, and we will find these results, okay, presented in this way. So here I just want to show this video for you to see how different colors are able to represent different phases, and these colors represent clusters, okay, which is fantastic. So, but what those color mean in this case, in our particular case? Let's see. So let's see those clusters in detail after our analysis or interpretation. So here we can see how overall 3 clusters are formed. So first we have the uh, orangish cluster, I mean in color in this palette, that represent channels. And when we form the geobody, it's gonna have this green color or dark green color. Then the green clusters, okay, with respect to this color palette, represents the mass transport deposits in our model. And when we generate the geobody, we have this light green color. And we have another cluster, as we can see here, that represents the background. That will be this more like bluish or purple palette or color. And the geobody is represented by this red color. So when we made the comparison between these clusters and the 3D model in the voxel by voxel basis, we obtain an error of 8% when we estimated the channel phases, which is a low error if you consider that. So all in all, we can say that the use of synthetic seismic data is very convenient to test different scenarios. And having a model that resembles a real outcrop allows for determining an error in unsupervised methods, which is not possible by other methods, and we haven't seen this in the literature. And there are multiple input attribute selection methods. Just remind to explore other methods that you think may work best. Um, Generative topographic maps offer a good method to divide the data into clusters corresponding to seismic phases, and it allows the recognition of channel phases with a low error. Just remind also that not every cluster can be related to specific phases. It depends on the resolution of our seismic data actually, and some architectural elements can be missed due to this nature of the resolution. So if we used higher frequency data, we will find probably more clusters that are representative of each phases. Um, and overall, there is not one size fits all answer, and each dataset is unique. So we here present a guide and also an example, but it doesn't mean that this is the unique answer. So we invite you to explore multiple attributes, um, to define the best attributes to use via SHAP values and other methods, and also use multiple unsupervised methods, which are pretty easy to determine or to do using ASPI, and then compare results. Thank you so much for watching this presentation, and we appreciate you belonging to the ASPI research group. And if you're not part of it, it's a perfect opportunity for us to show you the amazing things we do here. And keep in mind that we actually are here to help you understand all the methods that we develop and to assist you in any issue that you have with your data or results that you want to obtain. If you have any questions or comments related to this presentation, please don't hesitate to email me at this address. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.